Who are you?
Cringe as fucking move.
Why do you-
What was that? What was that? What? Hi, I'm Ross Hodgson, and I live in the north of England, and yeah.
This is
As
the
much as cringe as this is all going to sound, constantly, non-stop, this is what I'll say, it's cringe. But welcome to my workshop. This is my S14, my drift car. There's an S15 just behind there, that's my daily. I don't do daily because I live right next to my house. Sound. And this is a customised project that I'm doing. This garage is my own personal garage, as well as ones that me and my mates use, and as well as my business. So I'm obviously into bikes, natural progression, fuck pedaling, going to cars, always been into stuff conventions.
What car did you start off with?
Oh, Civic Ibiza, 1.48 valve, 62 horses of pony and power. Yeah, it served as well, and then I came across EK4 Civic VTI sale and bought that. Decided needed to strip down completely, so sold my Ibiza and drove around in a 1.8 diesel flat Bolingo for a year and 3 quarters. That was amazing. While I built up my Civic to what you'd I guess call a show car spec, but fully smooth bay. Was a B16, but I converted to an H22 because the bottom end fell out of that. And yeah, it took us, I'd say, about 2 years to build. Started on building it on £100 a week, to the point where I would literally not buy food at work or wasp back here. I wouldn't buy food, and I wouldn't even buy milk for having tea at work. I'd just save up that couple of quid every day, to the point where it would yeah, well, I'll be able to buy a spring or something like that for that money. So yeah, I've literally skipped myself and built it on 100 quid a week for a full wire tuck, sprayed underneath, inside and out, arches, the whole lot. Yeah, and that was the first big project car I had. And then I always knew from having the Civic, I'd always wanted one. I'll still have another Honda again, I'd say, but I always wanted a Silvia. So this is where this came in. My S15, that was my dream car. That was my end goal, so to speak, and I knew having the Civic I couldn't afford to keep that kept going wrong on things that I was almost out of my control, or I'd hand it to someone else thinking they would do it a lot better job, and it would always come as a bite in the arse. So I knew this was going to drain funds too much, so that was when I made the decision to sell that. It got exported to Hong Kong, amazingly, after it had a case swap in it. And I used half of the money off that and a lot of money I'd saved to buy my S15 spec car.
What made you go for a Nissan? What drew you to Nissan?
I've loved Hondas, still love Hondas since day dot. Mainly just, why would you not love 9,000 revs of limit bash and fun? But just Nissans, like, obviously the whole era we've all been brought up in of Jap importy, all the option videos, like Max Arito, fucking Green Suit Man, KT Tuchia, Christ, that's how I pronounce it, I can't remember. I should know, I've got his coilovers on my car from K Office. But yeah, just seeing all that era, just drifting through the mountains, proper fanboy, got caught up and all that, but loved the look of them. Was always adamant from before I even had cars that had to be like 2 doors, spoiler, no boot, that kind of shape. Obviously these are the exact shape, rear-wheel drive, turbo, petrol. Yeah, and just seeing them, never even driven one before I owned one, and was like, it's a bit me. So yeah, ended up, I'd only sat in an S15 for about 20 seconds, and apart from that, that was the first ever time I'd seen or even been around one before I bought one, but I knew that was it, and thank God, I can say so far, the driving experience has lived up to what I was after. And yeah, and obviously from that, like, got into drifting, always wanted to, but been years and years of prep, and I built an S14 in the shed, I reshelled the one, built it nothing bolt from the ground up. That was going to be my drift car, and then it came to the February, and I got offered a job in Japan to work for Power Vehicles at Ebisu, and that's where this car came in. I ended up buying this car off lad James Cruz. He was the lad who was basically my mentor there. I've always worked in a garage. I worked for my dad. That was my first long-term job. Went through an apprentice, all that stuff. Got a degree in motorsport, things like that. Always kind of knew, sick of fixing farmers' pickups for 20 pence and getting shouted at for being too expensive when you were trying to do a proper job. So it wasn't for me. Ended up working at M Sport, the Ford World Rally team in Cumbria. Great job, just wasn't quite what I was after. Wasn't very relatable as you were dealing with bottom arm for a car that was worth like £3,000. It was just bits of tube. And yeah, it was great. It was good to see what top tier level motorsport really is, but it wasn't quite what I was after. I was more after the relatable, obtainable goals for people like such as these cars that you can actually work on. You don't need like 12 million to build it. And from that, I left that job, came back here to work with my dad for a bit to find what I want, and seen a job available in Japan. Went for it, didn't think I'd got it. Bought me S15 instead the same winter, and 2 months later I had the job and was told come here ASAP. So I actually didn't even see my car. I bought it and I didn't see it for half a year, and when eventually I did go to Japan, I crossed it in the air as it was coming back over the boat, so I didn't even get to see it. Spent 14 grand, just chucked it to another country and just went, shit, yeah, I kind of hope I get a car out of this. But thank God when I came back for it, thanks to Jack West Mods, yeah, it was everything I hoped for. So, but the job in Japan was great, amazing opportunity. Again, that's where I met James Cruz, lad who won this car. He just fell out of love with drifting at the time, wasn't sure what he wanted, and just wanted rid of the car at the time. Needed some money for a house deposit. So yeah, it worked out. I could sell the one that I'd rebuilt over winter, the one I was reshelling, for the same money I could buy this for. So I ended up making the hilarious mistake of selling the black one, which was very high mileage engine, but obviously the shell was great. For getting this one in trade money wise, but this had every rare part I could ever ask for, plus brand new forged engine, etc, etc. So it meant in one winter I'd effectively kind of built this car.
So would you say in Japan that's when you kind of fell in love with drifting, or was it beforehand?
I'd already had a big love for drifting, but just unfortunately through committing to putting the building time in beforehand and just not having the financial behind us, I couldn't have the car then and there. I just knew I had to grit down work, which was why I was building that S14 at the time. But then obviously, like, coming to my dream place, as stupid as it sounds, like, I'm sure there's quite a lot of people that dream to go to Ebisu, and I was one of those people. And even though it was for such a short time, I was there, working there, never mind, and living, never mind actually just going for a holiday. And again, like, you'd be working every day and just hearing cars go flat out like 40, 50 foot away from the garage, drift on the mountain. It was literally like, it was as cool as you thought. Like, it's cringy insane, but it was literally like, I feel like I'm in an option video, oh my god. But no, that made us really fall in love. I remember going to Nico Circuit for a practice day there, and coming through the pits and just seeing this absolutely wild Formula drift, because I'm S15, just squat, flat, 90 degree, just like that, just like, that's when I knew Dakota Juicebox, I love cars. I fucking love drifting, like, just fucking on the back wheel up flapping like this, just fucking biggest dick energy just coming around the corner, flat out smart. I was like, that's me, that's totally me, yeah, and that's a bit of me, I'll have that, thanks. And then that's when I was like, yeah, totally going home and building the shit out of my car to just give it absolute big licks everywhere. In Mexico, kids.
S-Chassis first drift day.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. First drift day in your toy.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, I don't ever want this to come up as ooh, I'm fucking me, fucking sound. No. The only drifting I've ever done in my life is, apart from dicking around some donuts, I've never done any drifting per se, or even linked to corners until I went to Ebisu. So that was a very, again, like jumping in the deep end. James Cruz, bless him, the lad who won this. I had a day off in a borrowed Laurel C33 and learned how to drift there, and he was just basically, I already had the idea of the more you relax the better it'll be, but he really drilled that in my head in a morning of literally just chill the fuck out, you'll be so much better, less tense. And I had a full day drifting that. I've had 2 days drifting in a Laurel, a morning in this after I bought it the day before I left Japan, because there was no way I was leaving Japan Nevesu with owning a car there and not driving it there, especially being this one here. Granted, it didn't look quite as pretty as that then, but it was still as it is driving. So yeah, I had a morning in that, and then until recently this year, thanks to COVID, Dick, I spent pretty much a year building the car from what I got it from Japan, painting it, going through every nut and bolt, redoing stuff, and just making it mine, making sure it's reliable, does its job. And had a day at Teesside. That was amazing. First ever full day drift from it, really getting a grips with the car, and just learning how to throw shit in and not crash it. And I can say, touch wood, it went fucking absolutely perfect, not a single problem in the car at all. Drove the shit out of it, yeah. And since then I've had a full weekend at Chassis Fest up at Driftland in Scotland, and that was amazing. Again, the car was near faultless apart from the steering rack. Just not working, just apart from that, no power steering, and again, faultless, amazing, great driving, and yeah, again, don't want to be like, I'm fucking great mate, because I'm not, but it was good enough to put on a respectable show, and hopefully next year, budget dependent, compete, depending on how the next engine swap goes this winter. What is this channel? A bunch of shit cunts doing shit cunty things in shit cunty cars. Yeah. Perfect. So yeah, follow the journey. See what crap happens, and I hope it provides some sort of entertainment or respite to the generic day in day out crap, because I know there's plenty of shit I like to watch that's a good laugh and is pretty relatable to what we do here. So yeah, I've had this for years, people asking to do it, but I've just never felt like I could do it justice, or if I do it right, or if I was doing something that was the same as everybody else. So by all means, let us know what you'd like to see, let us know what you want to see more of. As far as I'm concerned at the minute, we'll do a lot of stuff that's going on here, a lot of the M9's cars. There's a lot of really good cars in the group, very well built cars that I feel deserves to be shown, and I couldn't really do that without StaticLenseWorks coming on board and giving good quality content like this, because I totally couldn't do any of this because I suck dick at camera work, so I'll just stick to this kind of shit here. So.